Hello, class. Today we're gonna go over chapter 16, securing and sharing Windows resource. What is that? Securing your Windows, we need to secure for no hackers could get into it, using access stuff that they should not to. And sharing resources, the same thing as what resource we want to share out, what permission we want user to get. So let's jump into it. So the object of it is to see what we need to do to secure a personal computer. Also, what we need to do to share and secure files and folders on the network. And also, we have something called Active Directory. This is also a nice thing for large corporation to change stuff to secure more of a bigger enterprise. It's like a centralized database that tell you, hey, restrict this kind of groups, restrict this. So we can talk more about Active Directory too. So the two main things of securing a personal, we want to protect the resources. We don't want all the resources to be access to anybody. Um, do you your personal computer, if you have someone there using it, do you want them to have administrator to install different software? Like I did a long time ago is my parents, my dad always like to go on his computer, install viruses, install stuff that he don't need to that bog down his computer, and then complain to me that his computer is running slow, that I'm not doing anything to help him. So I decided one day I'm fed up with this, so I take his way to administrative password. So he have no administrative rights, so he can't install anything. So he had to ask me before he installs, so I could say no, you don't need it, and so on. So my main thing is I'm protecting the resource, so I take his administrative password away, and I could protect the resources, so I know he's not installing something he's not supposed to. Also, you don't want to interfere with the function of the system. You don't want to make it so secure that the user can't do anything with your computer. Like I could lock it down and do anything. So the main thing is that you want your users to do what they need to on the computer and then no more. But you don't want to have it so secure that they can't even do their own work. That the way I'm saying that these two go configure each other because sometimes you have to mitigate risk because sometimes you have to let something open and you think, oh man, it's really unsecure, but you don't want to mess with the function of the system, so you have to leave it open. So when you authenticate is to prove who you are. And I'm Jason or I'm somebody else. So you gotta prove it. So usually you have your username and password. Sometimes you maybe not even have a password, but on your desktop. But you create one for each group, like user one, user two, user three, and they each have a password. And then this prove who they are. I'm user one. I'm user two. Then you have something called is a window domain, the Active Directory. This is a large database, a centralized database that multiple computer could hook up to. So instead of having a local account, it a domain account. So I could log into any computer that hook up to that domain with my username and password. Like at your school, at C4, you log it into a domain, Active Directory. So you log it in, it goes into the centralized database, finding who you are, and say you're allowed to access this computer. With Active Directory, you could say, hey, I don't want these users to access these computers. You could do that. We could talk about that more later. Then you have authorization. That means what you could do on that system, what you could access. So when we log into SC4 computer in the labs, we authorize as a basic user. We're not allowed to install anything. We're not allowed to do anything more. We're just allowed to do the main function of browsing the web and use the application. We don't have nothing administrative, so we can't install. We can't do anything like that. Then you assign password to each account. You use your best one because you really don't want to use weak password for things. So let's talk about more. Creating a strong password, you want to use special character, uppercase, lowercase, 16 or more, but most of the time 8 what we use. But any more of that, more characters, it's gonna take the hackers longer to get into it. Because most of the time, hackers not gonna use they're gonna have system that just randomly going through different combination to find out what password you're using. So like using like password like capital P, the at symbol, SS, um, capital W, 0RD is not a really secure password because everybody uses it. Or let me throw it off and use 654321. Not a good password either because it could break it. But if I use any dictionary, I could do a dictionary attack and get your password off probably like a minute, less than a minute. So you want to put more combination. Beginning you use uppercase and lowercase. Um, it this would make it more harder, but now it's easy to. So you want to add symbols. Um, don't use dictionary as symbols, like changing the A to at or the S to $sign, because that easy to do. So if I'm using password and I'm changing it to at symbol, the A, and then a $sign, they still could do it because they commonly use password like that. So you don't want to try. I always like to use a phrase. Say some phrase like to something in there like bought this house, your city, your like something that where phrase that like if you buy a new car, like just say like F-150. So I use the like F-150 titanium something. So you use your like F like 15 zero or like O, something that make it something different. So just say a big phrase, just take the first character of each phrase and use this as a password. Also don't use constant numbers, so don't use like Z um on multiple things. So change it out. So don't use like 5 A's in your password or so on. And don't use the same password for more than one system because if they could break in one, it could break in thing. Because most people commonly use, I'm gonna use this one password for my bank, computer login, my email, my mortgage payment. It's all different one, the same password. So if one hacker could get it, they have access to everyone. So don't use your same password for each one. Now you have these called local policy, local group policy, or local security policy. What this means is with the local group policies, I could restrict people access what they could do. I could restrict that these users can log in remotely. These users can log in locally on my computer. I could change that my what you could do on your PC. I could disable the log off, log on feature. I could disable all sorts of all the different settings on your I could restrict every control panel settings on it. I could restrict all your windows that you can't change no window explorer or internet explorer internet settings. So there's one nice about group policy is you could restrict or security policy is you could restrict what the user could do on your PC. Most of the time we're not doing that at home, but with PCs like company corporation, we like to use group policy because we could change it and say use this group policy and have different ones like group one group policy and group all the way to 6 and say your 6 is your most restricted one that they can't do anything and then your number 1 is the most non-restrict. So you got different options to play around with. Like on a local computer you could go gp edit, if I could type right, gp edit dot gpedit.msc. gpedit. So tell me that thing. So, but you go something and you get into group policy. This is what it looked like on a local policy that you got your computer configuration, you got user. Your computer configuration is based on your computer setting, and then the user ones is based on the user. So you can restrict each one on each one what you want. What nice about Active Directory, I don't know if they talk about it, is that you could local is only a one computer. Active Directory have a one for all of the computers. So you could put the different groups in different policies. So object. So if I want to do this group of PCs, I could create a group, put all the PC in there and say this is group policy for this group. And then I could restrict what I want. With this one, it's only affecting the computer you're doing it. So if it's not on Active Directory and you need to do it on your computer, this is the way you need to do it. Is go in your gpedit.msc and log into it and do what you need to change. Group policy on this one, I think I'm using Home Vision. That way I don't have access to do the gpedit. But like the Enterprise and the premium one, the Pro, you have more access to do group policy. But this is nice. If you want to just play with it, if you have the ultimate or higher edition and not the home. So with this, you have managed your user credential that you could manage in this same way. You could go to security, password policy, be probably local account local policy, and you could change it to what the password is. You could restrict that. You need at least 6 characters. You need to have special characters, and every 60 days or 90 days, it will change itself. You could also change this and say after 5 login, lock it out for 15 minutes. Or you could say lock it out for until you call administrator and they can unlock it for you. Then you have web one, but you got window one to save your password, credential manager that save all your password. But I don't know really if you want to use it. I intend to not save my password in a software like this, but you could have the option if you need to that you could manage it. You could keep all your digital signature and all your passwords, so you could log into different accounts and could access it right off the bat. Then you have an option to put a password on your BIOS or UFVI. SE4 does. If you log into the UFVI thing, it asks you for a password before you could change anything. This is a prevent that you can't change people to do a boot up. Like if I put a USB, it won't boot it up because I need to put a password to change it, so I can't change the boot order. So stay supervised that you require BIOS to set it up. User password, it could change it to what the user doing, what they need. Like you could give people access to only change this in the BIOS or change that. The drive lock password, that it will need a password to access your hard drive. So in an event that your hard drive may move, you need a password to get it unlocked. So here are the different ones. So your admin password is your main password in the front. This is one that restricts you that you can't even access it. I could set up a user password that could have people to come into my BIOS and say, I only want these people to access certain settings. So that's thing. So with your hard drive, your drive lock is that you could store it on, but if somebody remove it, they need that password to access anything on your drive. So security Internet Explorer. I don't know how many of you use Internet Explorer, but I don't. So I use Google Chrome, but this is the thing. So current one, Windows 10 uses Microsoft Edge instead of Internet Explorer 11, like Windows 10, 8, and 7. Windows 10 does have 11, but it's hidden because they want you to use Microsoft Edge. So to do it, you want to go in and turn off your Internet Explorer. You just go into Add and Remove Programs, Program and Feature, and then turn off that Internet Explorer 11 and disable 11 so nobody could use it. So you could so you could do that, or you could also restrict what to open your Internet to the other one to just say only look at icons with HTTPS and not HTTP. So this is an option to say that HTTP go link and then HTTP. So you can have different 2 ones where you can restrict which one you want to use. So pretty much all your settings is going to be in the internet option tool. So you go to tools, internet option. This is where you're going. So you could say, hey, open these 2 different websites, restrict HTTP, the United things that only secure. You can restrict everything from accessing Internet Explorer. Like our servers do is that you need to go in the thing that trusts programs. So this is general tab is to change your home page or add a second home page or protect what you need to serve. So this is your main one. This is what they're gonna open to. This is start up with this home page and delete browser history because a lot of people do that because if you save too many cookies, it over time will slow down. Also, hackers could get your password out of cookies, so you may want to delete that because if someone could get it, hackers could get your information from a cookie. Security tab is to set the security zone. This is where you go in and say what I want to restrict. You can set it up to the top one and restrict everything like a server does, and then you have to go in and request what you need to access. Privacy block is blocking cookies that might take your privilege or steal identification. This is also set up a proxy server if you need to use a VPN. Program tab is called for plugins. So an advanced tab is miscellaneous control. Let's open up internet. Explore. Let me just click on here. So you got general. This is regular IE, so look different. And look for Internet Explorer. Let's be later. So you got your general tab right here. So going on the default, I could change it to Google.com. Apply, and then that'd be my home page now. Then I could say startup, or I could say less tab. So I do the startup one. Delete different ones. So this is my temporary one. You could clear all your different ones. This is the one that clear all your saved password. This is one with clear your cookies. Then you go to security. This is you could trust the site. You could add different trusts. Like I want this to be trusted. If you want to set up your internet to the high, that it block everything, you could change it down to min. Then it really don't do pretty much anything, or do what the basic. You could restrict sites. Like I don't want people to access this. You could go here and do that. Privacy is turn off pop blocker sites, different ones that say, hey, block this one, allow this one. Connection settings, if you go to LAN, you got the automatic detects. This is where you set up your proxies. You got different ones like HTTP, but this is if you have a proxy, you set it up here. And then advanced have different settings. So here where we just talk about add and remove toolbars. They got different ones if you want to disable. We add different toolbars. Sometimes a toolbar that or a plugin that acting up, like PDF one is acting up or something wrong. Disable it and see what's going on. You can do that too. Sometimes you want to disable a lot of different ones. That I don't need these ones. I don't even know what it is. Disable, remove it. So file and folder encryption. What is that? This is where you encrypt the thing that if someone accidentally grab it or stole your hard drive, everything on it is gibberish that they can't access nothing. You could right click and encrypt different ones. Like I know certain ones, like I don't want my parents to see this one if I'm using share, so I'm gonna encrypt it. So I need a password to access it, so they can't access it, so I could do it. So usually you could right click on it, hit property, go General tab and encrypt it that way. Then it display green. So like for example, let me see if it could go. See if it could go to somewhere. File Explorer. Document. We create a folder. Go properties. Security. Yeah, so that way you're supposed to, but they're not showing. So I don't know because I think I may have a different version of Windows, but that way you do is you go to property, advanced, and encrypt. Encrypt is you may need contacts in that, so I may have to add another folder. I have stuff in that folder that I created. Which file? Test. Man, I can't type today. Test. Now right click property, advanced. No, so something's not going on. So that's how you do it. You go to general, right click on the property, general, encrypt, and encrypt to that. They're gonna ask you for a password, and then you just add it in at that. I have a home version on this one. So with the higher version of Windows, like the top line, like I think this Pro or Business or this you get a BitLocker. BitLocker is the one entire encrypt your entire drive. That if someone take your drive, they can't access nothing. This is a nice tool, but sometimes it can act up and corrupt your system. That you need a pin to restart it. We use this at work, but if you're not properly restarted or reboot it properly, you're gonna ask you for a BitLocker key, and then you need to, and then you generate a pin and um, it start up. But with this also, you can have a pin or password that every time it start up, you need it. We use a thing, not this company, my past company, we use something called a bit key, and this got all the information, so they know the 5 pin, and then they plug it in. So they put 5 of them in. I have a USB plug-in. Press the button, it automatically input the rest of the password in. It's like a 128 character long password, but you know the 4 pins, so um, it's I could tell you my 4 pins, but without that you can't log on your computer. So that's a nice feature to have too. So um, what I say, I wish that it could corrupt your information. You could lose the startup key that it won't boot up no more. You could lose the password. Um, so many different ones that could fail, like your TBM chips in your BIOS could fail and could mess up your whole computer. That you can't start from scratch. You lose everything. So to do the BitLocker, you go to Control Panel, BitLocker Encryption, and you go find the C drive and turn on. You can also right click on the hard drive and change it, turn on BitLocker if you need to. So the different ways you could go here in the control panel, BitLocker disk drive encryption, and turn it on this way, or go to this PC, right click on the drive you want to encrypt, say BitLocker turn on, enable, turn it on, and encrypt it. If you need the TPS chips and the higher Windows version. So if you have a home version of Windows, it won't work. So the firewall, what is a firewall? A firewall is a thing that will look at all different. It take a different thing. It allow and deny programs to access your computer. You have a software firewall and you have a hardware firewall. A router could, like your home router, like your one where your wireless router, have a firewall built into it. So it's sometime it allow programs that you have to go in there and allow ports to be open, like port forming and stuff, allowing stuff to go through that firewall. Um, Large corporation and what they say, large corporations have used a software firewall. We have a firewall, a window firewall built in. You can use the software one that some antivirus come with the firewall software. You can use that. Sometime, usually we call it a security application device that is taking place is a firewall, but it got more option than a firewall. Then you could do other one. You could restrict different website. You could see what traffic it act like an IPS IDS that a information prevention system and an information detector system. So we also have that different ones. Um, a personal firewall, what we say is Windows is like a personal firewall. It's computer based on your Windows firewall have its own one, but a personal one is a software on your computer that protects. So Windows firewall is like a personal, but you could have like Norton have a firewall built in. You could use Commando firewall. Each software have a different ones that it's a software one. You could customize it. Um, you could deny which one. Usually, when an application that uses the internet, you want to allow it to access it because it will block it. So this is what a firewall doing. Anything coming in, it has to go through the firewall and say, "Hey, you're allowed in." If not, it block it and send it back. So like, yes, this is one. So this is one going into your computer, but your computer say, "I should not be accessing this one, so I'm blocking it." So so your computer could block it, but this one is a different one. So this is a hardware based one, and this is a network software one. So you have one installing on a computer that looking at your data. So this hardware say, "Hey, I allow." This one say, "No, you should not be allowed." So if someone breaking this one, you already have the backup one. But your computers have a personal firewall too. So they say, "Oh, this allowed, this is allowed," so I'm sending it to here. But this computer is somebody they should not. I restricted this like my like if you have a kid or like a kid that said this should not be accessing this stuff from this PC, so I'm blocking everything. These ones that say, "Oh, I allowed it, so let it play." So you could restrict what application. Like I don't want this computer to play Minecraft, so I'm gonna block any port that Minecraft use, so they can't access the internet. So I let him play Minecraft, but he's not allowed to play it online. So I restrict everything from this. So it go boom, allow, and block because I don't want to put it to block here from because I want to play Minecraft online on this computer. So I don't want to put a block all of because I have access to none of them to play online. So I just only want this. So I'm saying deny everything, firewall deny everything from. So it will block your connection from going out, but this computer still could access it. So controlling access to fire, folder, and files. You got different ones. You could permission user account to different just read, write, delete, or you could assign personal to folders. So I could restrict what the users do, or I could just go to the folder and restrict it from that way. So what it say is principle of least privilege. You want to minimize what the user could do, that they could do what they need to do, because you don't want everybody to have access to everyone. Like you don't want accounting to access finance, or you don't want IT to access everything, because you want to restrict what they need to do or what the position needs to do. So, like an IT position is you have a database administrator and you have a network. You don't want your network to adjust database, but you don't want your database to adjust the network settings. So you want to do the least privilege. So in this case, on a folder or thing, is that I want to restrict what the user have access to. So I could restrict it from folder size. I don't want to know this user to access this folder. Or I could set up local user groups to set it. So I could say, like, in the group we have on our computer as an administrator user with an Active Directory, or you could create other ones and say, "Hey, I want to make um, accounting, IT, and manufacturing or engineers. So all accounting people who have access to all the finance information, I put them in that one. IT have only access to all the IT stuff that they do, and then the engineer only have access to what they need. So what we're talking about, they got standard. You got administrator account, you got standard user account. These are your local groups. So you go to your right click or you go computer mgmt.msc, or you could go to right click on this PC and go computer manager and then your local and group. So in this case, we go. Oh, we not do it. So yeah, this is how. Then this pop up. You have user and groups. User is all your user base. So I could right click it, add a user, the password. I could say, user must change the next password, or I could change it say use this password never could change. Or I could disable this account. Then you have another section called groups. Groups are based off groups have limited permission and templates. Like all your groups, administrator group have every way to install, delete. User account, standard user have just basic thing. They can't install, they can't access anything. They just what they can do is browse the internet, use existing program, and that it. You got power user group, in the old edition, but it gives you the same ability as administrator, but not the white. It only can let you install applications, but it won't let you do administrative. Like you can't change settings or anything, but you can install. So this is what Power User, but it are older versions, so not there. So you got different groups. I want to add it, so I go to groups, go to the user, click it, and add it to my member, and then add that in. You can also go to group, right click, add user to it, and that. Yeah, you got Windows always have basic built-in groups. So like authorization user group that allow user account except for the gate thing. So this is allow what the user groups have. Everyone group is everyone. So everyone with guest um, account. So this everything everyone have access. Anonymous is anybody for remote desktop one. So you could customize to anyone. You could say test one, test two, group one, group two, accounting, IT, any name you want to. You could do it, and you could adjust the permission to each one. So this is how you create a group. So when you create a group, you have no permission. You have to go to your local group policy, and then you can add the permission there to if you want an administrator or so many different ones. So this is where you want to create groups for special when you're doing permission to folders or files. You got workgroup sharing and domain controller. So these are your two things to sharing files. You go right click and share. Like when you right click one and change it to a name, but if you're not in workgroup sharing, they give you a better security. But you want to set everyone as a theme if you're doing off workgroup or off domain, easier to share. So tip of say you got private data for is user. So this is where you see user is where your personal files are. So each users on your account to log in have his own files there. Public folder is anything that everyone can access anywhere on your computer. So then you have a thing. When you right click it, it says sharing property. This is telling you who have access to read, write, or delete your files. You could say, I only want group one to read, so I give them permission to this one. You also got something called NF permission that is a local user account that built into your account locally. So only thing is that on your computer, I can go here for the NF one, go to document, right click on the new one, property, security, and I could adjust it to each one. So I could say administrator. I could create a thing and say, hey, I want to take off these one. You can't because it's just somebody could say, hey, if I have another one, add to group one, and I could say, hey, I have full control. This have everything. Or I say I only want them to read and just add all the groups in there to just only read. So that the way the NF permission do. So that on your local computer, sharing is a sharing that anybody can access it anywhere. So I could go to / name of the computer / folder one and access your shared drive, and then I could access what different ones. So each one is the NF permission are used to restrict people access. So if you have something on your C drive and you don't want group one on to use it, you could restrict to say, hey, I only want the administrator or me to access it. Anybody else, deny them. Or I want me, the administrator, and Bob to only. I only want Bob to read this stuff, but I don't want to delete it. So that's how you do it to do it. So he only could read it. He can't delete it. He can't add it. He can't do anything else except for read that file. So how to share a folder? So sharing a folder, you could use a group information command. So you could go theme here in your command prompt, type in GP result, and it pull up the information for what the information you need for that group policy, or what you need for the information to assign to one. So here's this thing. So here's the medical group. So I could go group result user administrator. Just pull up all the different ones. So like your operating version, your site, your username, local policy NA, different information about your domain name, and then this is a part of the user. So this is when you do group results, scope, user, your name. This is telling you what you permission to anything. So you could tell, oh, I'm a medical thing, so I got my medical one. So different ones, what group you in and stuff. If you need to find out what group you in, maybe you need to like accessing it, but I can't deny what's going on. I could say, oh, because I'm not in that group. So when you're doing it, you right click on the property as we were doing with the security tab. You right click it, hit properties, secure, sharing, then sharing folder, and then you say, hey, you can add whoever I want, everyone, add, only read everyone, and then share. So this one shares. So my desk name, use it, share, done. So good to go. That one's sharing now. That's how you do it. So you can add permission, you can add group one, group whatever you need to. Restrict them what they could do. So like I have administrator for my account. Everyone have only read. So I'm only the one who could have full access to the folder. Everybody else could read. Then you could go advanced. This is a further control for the group. So this is telling me, hey, this is overseen what the thing. So I could put restrict, but I could also go to advanced permission and say, hey, let administrator read it, or some different ones. Then you have user folder. So I could say, hey, I want all my subfolder inherit permission from the parents. Or I could just say, hey, I want the subfolder is not inherit. So I have access, everybody have access to the parent folder. But between is all the subfolders, only certain people have certain access to certain ones. So that are different ones that you could say, hey, don't have subfolder inherit from the parent folder. So supporting, how you troubleshoot different ones. Take ownership of the folder. Use only one group. Try different ones that like access certain people accessing your computer. See what's going on. Have they log off, log on recently. Require password for all user. Maybe map a different one. Try to map it. We map it. Do it that way. So this is how you could think. So you could say, hey, I'm gonna take ownership of the folder and see if I'm allowed to do what I need to. See if they got the right name. Oh, this guy's getting blocked. This is what's going on. The troubleshooting. the first thing is ask the user what issue you having, what thing showing up. You can't delete it, you can't read it, what's going. So then you can figure out, oh, he in the wrong group. Have you log off recently? So a network sharing is the thing is that you're sharing across the network. Um, yeah, I could have a NAS drive that's sharing out folders. I could have a different. I could have my E drive connected to a different ones. Like I'm sharing out my C drive on this computer so they can map it to a different one. So network sharing is like I could have a hard drive set up for sharing that everybody access and create the different ones. Your network file system is your NAS drive. This is where you could have different ones that telling you, hey, I'm access to this one. I could create groups, put it on and say I don't want this person to access. So this is just your main files just sitting back with a bunch of hard drives in that you could access different ones, shared drives on that. So then you could map it to the different NAS drive and have different ones. Like we using something called a Cronus, that were all of our backups, and that's sitting on a NAS drive, and we just go map it to I map it to one of my thing, or I could just access from the network. So this is something a device sitting somewhere else for on your and you adding it to. So there's a hard drive sitting on the network that you can store stuff to. So syncing sync center and offline file. Sync allow two computers to sync share folder volume. So this is allowing two computers to share contact folder in the time. So if I have my cell phone, I could sync it up to my computer, and I got both information. So this is how you follow. So you go to control panel, you open sync setting, manage offline file, enable offline files, and you go through all the different steps to sync it up. This is a nice thing, like if you're on a domain or a domain computer and thing that you want to take it at home. So you want to sync it up to your computer so you can have access to it offline at home. This is why you need to do it for your syncing up. So you go all the way offline, resources, sync it up. So I can access it if I'm offline or somewhere else that I don't have access to my internal network. Like if I'm at home, company ones, I don't have VPN. I want to access this folder. I could sync it up. Sync it up both, so I have access. So, but if I change anything and somebody changes it off, so I have access. I'm changing this folder, and I go back, but somebody else changed it, and it sync up. It could overwrite somebody else's change. So you have to be careful on that too. So you go easy access, sync, and it sync it up. So a minute you get your connection back to that resource, it sync it up. That's why I was saying that you may want to say, hey, I'm working on this, and nobody please work on this until I'm back because I'm doing work at home. I'm gonna be offline, so I don't want nobody to change something and I accidentally rewrite them. Somebody did that at my work a couple times. They have access to like a password thing, so they adjust it offline, not telling nobody, wipe somebody else's work clean, and we lost all of our passwords, so we had to. Luckily, somebody copied it. We have a backup, so we could restore it. So that's the thing, but you gotta be careful that way. So hidden net resource, network resource is you could disable file, you could hit folder. So this is folder that it hidden, a dollar sign at the end of the folder. This there, but it hidden. So if you put a dollar sign in the folder name, it hide it. So it could be in your desktop, but it hidden. So when you go to folder option, hit files, it not gonna show up. So that's a nice way to, if you want to put a couple files here, hide it. That's the way you could do it. Just put a dollar sign and it hide it. Local share file, computer share to other one. So this is local share. So my computer is sharing to somebody else's or other people on my local user account. So I share the folder out. They can access it that way. Yeah, on my same computer, but that help. So you go // $, personal one. this hidden, but they could share it out. So I have it do this on my local one, so I could hide personal $. It hides, so I only could tell user 1 and user 2 about it, but user 3 don't have access because he can't see it. So administrator share, you got the symbol, like this is the directory system root folder any volume. So this is the default account at the domain level. So this is like your main one. Like if you put the $ on window the thing, it take you right to it. So you go admin $, and show you to where you need to. So we were talking about using Active Directory service. What we're saying is this a localized, a centralized database. This is going to control the authentication, authorization, different resources, group policy for your domain. You have Active Directory Domain Service, AD Service, AD Federal Service, AD Right Management, and AD Light Directory. This is a hierarchy. Top one, it look down and say, oh, the forest. So a forest is a multiple domain, or your enterprise one, where it contains different domains. So you have building 1, building 2, building thing, different ones. So you got different for your enterprise. Like if you look at a thing, each tree in your forest is a different domain of your company. Or OU or organizer unit is a device. It can be a group, it be a computer, it be a user. That way you're thinking. So OU is the organization user. So you put a user group, you could do a computer group, you could do a group policy on that computer or user group. You could put different ones. So group policy is a nice one. Is that what we're saying is that for all these computer, I want to use this group policy to change all the screen to my company wallpaper, or this computer and account only have access to these resources, and vice versa. So this is what I say. Forest, you got your domain, you got sites, and you could do a trust one that say, hey, this forest could trust this one. So this one is your forest. I have domain, like let's say like sc4.edu is your domain, and then you got different sites like building 1, building 2, different sites along the thing. So your forest is your main one, and you structure it down to a different domain and different sites. Then each sites have a U group and user group, but this you can also trust different sites, and then you can also like SC4 could access Michigan EDU, and then I could trust each one. So that you could do it. Group policy, what we're saying is that on you use a group, and I could different do different sharing permissions, so NFS and sharing permissions. So I could have user 1 can access this folder, but user group 1 can access one, but this one can't access the folder, or this one can't access that one. So I could set up a group policy that way, or I could just set up the permission into each of all these folders. So let's say I don't got these group things, so I say group 1, but deny group 2, group 2, but deny group 1. So that's how you could do it. That's why you want groups. Groups is easy to categorize different permission or different policy. So creating and managing user accounts in AD. This is pretty much the basic same as having a local policy, but this is sitting from a centralized database. So sitting on the computer, you can remote into your Active Directory one, and you serve as that thing. You want to open administrator. This should be administrator sent to a PowerShell. But this is a different one. I want to see something. But okay, so you log in your thing. They're saying when you're accessing it through controller. So sitting on your computer, remote and thing. You're gonna want to go into Active Directory user, computer, and user. This is where you could follow the different ones to add and create different ones. This is gonna pop up all your different sites, all your different groups, all your different group policy. So you set it up with the same one. I say, hey, I have a group policy that say that to require this password, 8 character longs, lowercase, uppercase, number, symbol. It can't do any 5 different password. Can't do after 5 different ones. It can use 3 different constants. So what I was saying is that I could say that up to a year you can't use the same password twice a year. So you can use password 1, password 2, password 3, password 4, and so on. But you can't use password 1 back in the same year. You could say that I could if there's 5 account, then 5 account that you can't have access to. I disable your account, and after 15 minutes you can allow it in. So after 5 failed attempt, lock your password for 15, and then try it again. You could also put password don't never expire. A lot of companies use 60 or 90 days that your password expire, and that's the way most companies doing it. But all what you want. You could go here. You could unlock accounts. So what I was saying is, if I'm an administrator, I know some user one. I could go in Active Directory, computer and user, look for the user, right click, unlock, and he unlock. But I could also go here and reset his password if you forget it. So I'll be like, he forgot his password, so I'm gonna change it. Say, summer 20, reset it, tell him, and then when you log in, you're gonna ask him to rechange his password. You can do that on your Active Directory, computer, and user. So this is what I was saying is that say unlock. So if he lock, I could go unlock, apply, and unlock him. I could go into password, and I could like different ones like password never expire, password user can't, user need to change. So I could click on that. I could change to login hours, so I could say he can't log on to this one to at this time to this time. Log in, I say only could log into this computer. Password, I could say different members of, could change it to that one. This is where I could change his password if I need to. I go to one general, and I could change his password from there. So you go to reset password, and they're gonna ask him for it. User must change. So this is your one thing to say. User must change because you're gonna give him a basic one like summer 20. Then you're gonna change it to what you need to, and then so on that way. So I was saying that you could disable the guest account. That way, anything you want to do. You could do a login time restriction. This is nice. So I don't want nobody to overtime. So I'm gonna restrict every person that they could reach from Monday to Friday from 5 p.m. to 2:30. They could be themed, but after that they can't log in no more. So I don't have to worry about somebody coming in, logging in, doing some work during night, and try to get overtime. I could time out a screen lock. So if somebody not do it, I could say 15 minutes, lock the computer, or 5 minutes, lock the computer. Administrator, you want to have the administrator account strong. A lot of companies create 2 passwords. So I have 2 accounts, one administrator account and one user account. You want to use your user account for everything you do in basic one because you don't need an administrator to do all your basic IT stuff. But you want your administrator one to do like anything with your server or anything else. Then you have your login script. This is telling you, hey, to record where you log in, what need to be changed when you log on, and different ones to your computer. So group policy. Group policy object is controlling your IU, your organization unit. This is telling me, hey, what my user could do, what I need to change on my computer, and so on. So I can have a OU. I can have a bunch of computers. Say I want to change each one. I don't want control panel to be accessed. I don't want internet option to be accessed. So I can restrict everything from that. So I could create a GPO, and say, hey, all these computers in this one, I don't want nobody to access control panel or internet option. That one. So I added in and that. You can restrict what users could do. Like I don't want user one to do this stuff, or I don't want user two to do this. So this is where your group policy. So you could create one group policy, different object, and then just add the user or computer to that group. So this is what you're thinking is a group policy startup. Add in two different ones to my different accounts. So you have local site, domain, OU, and enforce. Which one went first? So this is how it goes. So policy A, local site, and local one, local win. Domain, site, and domain. Policy things, sites, local policy, and this is and so on. So each one to find out what policy user want. You go to the restrict set of policy, open it, drill down to see what policy I want. You could go to control panel, go GPU resource command and see what group policy they belong to. So here is the one say, okay, enforce password, minimize 41, 7 character. Okay, so this is what. Okay. So pretty much in this chapter, we talk about encrypting, difference between local policy and domain policy. So local is just your local computer, and group is domain is your whole like for like SC4 is your domain. So you also want to assign privilege to per user, so you don't want to give everybody access throughout your whole company. You want to restrict things. This group, this department get this permission, this department get this one. So with this, you want to create groups. So you could place any user in this group, then you could assign what permission to each of these groups have. Then you have between what sharing folders, how to create it, how to set up security. What is Active Directory? We learn about that as a centralized database. So in group policy, you got different ones. You got local, site, OU, and enforcer. So site, locals take over most of the site domain and so on. So each one could conflict with each other, and the last policy I'll apply win. So if I do enforce or domain one, and that the last policy always wins. So, but this is how you do it. Group policy is nice. You should play around with it, but be careful that you can restrict yourself from doing stuff. So, but if you have any questions, I know there's a lot of information. It's just get to you. So, if you have any questions, let me know. I could go over it. We could set up a Zoom or a Microsoft one, Microsoft team, and we could go through different ones, and I could show you. Active Directory is pretty neat. I don't know if any free version of Windows servers out there, but it's pretty nice. But if you have a home version, like the thing, like home, like Windows 10 home or like Windows 7 home, you're not allowed to hook it up to a domain. You need the bigger one, the bigger advanced, like Windows 10 Professional or Windows 10 Pro. You need that because it won't work with the home version. So, but that's it. So if you have a question, let me know. Discussion boards up. We could discuss about it too. So, till next time. If you have a question, let me know. Stay safe and talk to you next time.